Hey, what's up? In today's video, we're going to be covering how you can book 30 plus qualified sales calls per month using cold email. If you don't know who I am, my name is Matt Lucero. I currently run a performance-based lead gen agency over at anivomarketing.com. So here's proof this works. Here's automated revenue. We recently helped them book 62 meetings and collect $19,500 in closed deals within the first 60 days of working together. Here's 4 meetings we booked them in the first day, multiple deals closed, and 3 sales calls we booked them in 26 minutes. Here's another consulting firm that we're working with right now. We helped them book 41 meetings within the first 30 days. Once again, 3 meetings booked in a single day. Here's a bunch of meetings from the meeting log that we have that I could fit in this screenshot. And then in my own business, I've booked countless meetings, multi 5 figures in cash collected upfront from closed deals from cold email. 9 back-to-back sales calls in one day. This was a hectic day. And then 33 meetings in one of the months. So you can clearly see that this stuff works. But yeah, that's the power of cold email. But the first thing I want to cover is bridging the gap with cold email and why you should watch the video to the end, because cold email is a great mechanism for booking tons and tons of meetings with qualified prospects. It's super predictable. It's super targeted. Once you collect the data, you can figure out pretty obviously how many meetings you're going to book once you actually get everything dialed. But I see cold email as a bridge. So if any one brick is missing, then you're not going to be able to cross the bridge, or you're going to see significantly less booked calls or no calls altogether. And I have this plotted out with this diagram. So bridging the gap, if you have your offer, your lead list, your copy, your deliverability, and your response handling super dialed with super strong email volume, you're going to be able to book a ton of meetings. However, if even one of these pieces is wrong, like for example, if your deliverability is off and your emails are going to spam, then you're not going to get any meetings or significantly less, right? If your emails are landing in spam, 90% of the people probably aren't even going to see it. And the people that do see your emails are going to think you're a scammer or not trustworthy. So this is why this is important. If your copy is off, if your lead list is off, if any one part of this whole bridge is off, then you're going to see significantly less, like 90% less meetings. And so in this video, I'm going to cover basically everything A to Z, what you need to have dialed to get the 30 meetings per month. Yeah, you need to make sure you nail all these steps to get the most out of your cold email system. So the first thing that I want to cover that you should do before you send out a single cold email is to develop a marketing thesis. So reduce your drag by increasing your results by orders of magnitude. So before you get started on any cold email type stuff, any technical stuff, any copy, lead list, you need to develop a marketing thesis. So just like the essays you wrote in high school, you need to develop a thesis on who you're going to target, what their desires and pain points are, what to offer them, and how to frame your offer, essentially doing market research. The reason why you want to do this is because it's going to increase your conversion rate of your emails. And if you don't figure this out, then your conversion rate from your cold emails isn't even going to be high enough for you to hit 30 meetings per month. And if it's slightly below where it needs to be, you're going to have to send way more cold emails just to make up for it. So this is the formula you can use to estimate your cold email performance at scale. This is leads contacted times offer resonance times 0.05 equals meetings booked. So offer resonance, this is the strength of how relevant / interesting your offer is to your audience. And I rank this between 1 and 0.01, 1 being very strong and 0.01 being very weak. So you can plug in numbers. I'm going to show examples after here. The reason why we're referring to offer resonance as an important variable, it's because your service / your offer doesn't exist in a vacuum, and it's tied to the audience that you're reaching out to. So if you have a strong offer, but you have the wrong audience, then it won't resonate. On the other hand, you could have the right audience, but the wrong offer, and it still won't resonate. So this is basically the strength / conversion rate times the leads contacted times 0.05. So an average offer resonance, that's like 1 meeting every 500 people you reach out to. A very, very weak offer resonance would be 1 meeting of every 5,000 prospects contacted. And then a very strong offer resonance is 1 meeting for every 20 prospects contacted. So you can see there is a wide range. This is why I say orders of magnitude, because on one end, if your offer is ridiculously strong, you have perfect product market fit, your offer resonates with your audience, then you could be getting 5 meetings for every 100 prospects you contact. But on the other end, if you have a weak offer, that means you could be booking 1 meeting for every 5,000 prospects contacted. So huge variance. Average offer resonance example. So yeah, if you reach out to 1,000 people and your offer resonance is smack dab in the middle, then you might get 5 meetings booked. However, if your offer is poor, for the same amount of email sent, you could only get 2 meetings booked. Once again, this is why you need to make sure this is dialed. Otherwise, you're going to have to send 2.5 times more emails just to make up for the fact aspect of your offer. So some of the best ways to collect data is to survey your current clients. So you can get a strong idea of who wants your service based on your current client roster. And you know this because they bought your service. So if someone bought your service in the past, then you know that they're an ideal client because they are an actual buyer. So you can make hypotheses about who you think might want your service, but in reality, the people who do want your service are the people who already bought from you. You can also collect data on the offer that you have based on their pain points, desires, what to offer them from sales calls and client interviews. And so you can directly ask, here's some questions you can ask them, like, what have you tried before? What is your end goal with working with us together? What would make this a no-brainer buying decision? What can I do right now to make the service better? When you ask questions like these, you can gather more data, figure out what your audience wants, and ultimately help increase your conversion rate and figure out who you should be selling to. So using this data, you can establish a solid baseline, work your way backwards. Collecting this data might lead you to slightly tweak your offer, like adding a guarantee or switching headcount targets, or significantly change your offer / targeting. For example, like changing the deliverables, changing the industries. You can learn a lot just by surveying people and trying to talk to people to figure out what they want, because that's ultimately what cold email is. You are just sending emails out to real people, and whatever you're saying is going to real people. So surveying real people is going to give you the answers to the questions of whether or not they're going to be interested in getting on the phone with you. So document all this data at minimum before moving on to the next step. Who is my ideal client? The job titles, the industries, the company size, location, pain points, and then what you're selling to them. So the promise, the outcome, the risk reversals, time frame, unique mechanism. Make sure you collect this. The more detailed research you do into the market, the better. It's not 100% necessary because you can just guess, but this is going to really make or break the conversion rate of your campaign. So don't fight the market. That's the last thing I'll leave you with on that section. So step 2, we're going to be talking about building your prospect list so you can be booking 30 meetings per month, loading the cannon. So after you developed your offer and spoken to your market, you're going to start building a prospect list of these ideal customers so we can reach out to them via cold email. So using the data you gathered in the previous section, pinpoint the people you should target and how you should speak to them, you can use this to start crafting the list. So building the list can vary in difficulty depending on how intricate you want to get with it and what criteria you have. But if you're falling within the normal ranges, like as we discussed above, job titles, industry, company size, location, most of this can be scraped using these tools. So tools like Apollo, ZoomInfo, ListKit, they recently came out with a SaaS. You can check them out. Crunchbase, Store Leads, Instant Data Scraper. You can use this to scrape different data sources, are all useful tools in actually developing your lead list. So if you're looking to sustainably, and keywords is sustainably, book 30 meetings per month, you're going to need to have a wide audience, right? You can book 30 meetings in 1 month, but if you completely tap out your audience, then you're not going to have anyone else to book meetings with, and your calendar is going to dry up pretty quickly. So I would say at minimum, you need 10,000 contacts, 10,000 emails, and realistically have like 30,000 plus if you want to be doing this consistently. That gives you enough runway to be able to send enough emails and also recycle leads after a certain amount of time has elapsed so you don't burn through the whole market. So these platforms also provide other key data points such as their name, location, company name, company details, which you can use to personalize the email further and help you book more meetings. Make sure you utilize the headcount filters. This is something that people critically mess up in your lead list. One of the biggest benefits of sending cold emails compared to doing cold DMs and other forms of cold outreach that people do is that you can get super targeted data. So you can get, if you want to target enterprise, you want to target high paying clients, then you can use the data in the database versus if you're sending out Facebook DMs to try and book meetings. One of the issues is that you can't filter by different headcounts. So make sure you use that to get the right people on the phone. So after you scrape the data, you're going to need to validate the emails next. The reason why you do this is because if you don't, you're going to have a high bounce rate and it's going to destroy your email's reputation, make you land in spam. So if you want more information on this, I have another YouTube video. It'll be linked somewhere on this part of the video, but still finish this video because you want to learn the rest of this information. So the next step we're going to cover is writing your scripts so you can book 30 meetings per month. After you research your market, you're going to want to use this guide to build some copy. A great exercise for you to build copy before I go into the nitty gritty is to actually go through your lead list. So you're going to have 10,000 different contacts. You can go and click on their LinkedIn profile and just imagine you were writing an email directly to that person. And then you can use that. So you can do that 5 different times, write 5 different emails, and then you can use what you specifically sent to that person and apply it to your general template that you're going to be sending over to thousands of people. The reason why this works well is because it's going to train you to write emails directly to people, not to a big audience of people. That's where a lot of people mess up, is they write emails as if they're talking to thousands thousands of people, not just one person. So here's a simple email structure that you can follow. The most simple structure is to have a broadly personalized opener, explain what you offer, add a case study, and have a call to action. What this could look like is, hey Sam, notice you're in the staffing space, thought I could provide some value. We help staffing firms find qualified candidates 253% faster using our hiring platform. You input your hiring criteria and serve 5 tailored resumes to your team. Open to trying this for free. So this is for a hypothetical staffing SaaS that would appeal to a staffing firm. Very clear, just very clear personalized opener. Explain what you can offer, why your service is better, and then a strong call to action. So this is like a free trial. This is an example. Simple cold email script. I have another video on my channel diving into how you can write the copy, so you can dive deeper in there. If you're selling a relevant solution to a relevant audience, then your copy will broadly work, but the more personalized and human you can make it sound, the better. So yeah, obviously copy is important. One thing I do want to stress though, is while it is important, there's a ton of angles that you can reach out with, different ways you can frame the copy. But the core of the copy is that you're actually providing something relevant to the audience and you're articulating it in a way that's short and concise. So here's some best practices. Keep your copy as concise as possible, ideally readable in less than 20 seconds. Make sure your copy is relevant to the exact people that you're reaching out to, and highlight the word exact, because if you use terms or terminology that isn't relevant to a certain audience, then it won't matter. If you're not using a value prop that's relevant to the job title that you're reaching out to, then it's not going to matter. Personalize as much as possible, make a clear call to action and make it actionable, and then don't include images or links because they increase the likelihood that you're going to be ending up in spam. So for subject lines, quick note on that, focus on making it sound intriguing and give them a reason to open. You can have a subject line that's relevant to your offer, like staff 3 times more candidates, or an intrigued based opener like, hey, quick question. You should make sure that you have 3 to 5 follow-ups in your email sequence to make sure that people are given multiple chances to book in with you. The reason why is because a lot of people don't just book in on the first email. If you're in sales, I'm sure you guys understand the power of follow-up, but a lot of times people get busy. Someone might actually be interested, but they were busy at the time, and so they don't respond. And so I personally see about 50 to 60% of the meetings that I book come from the follow-up emails. All right, so on to the next section, building the email infrastructure and sending. So this is more of the technical part. So we covered building your lead list, building your copy. Now we're going to cover building the email infrastructure, how you can actually send cold emails at scale so that you are booking 30 meetings per month. The first part that I'm going to cover is the email infrastructure. So the technical part, right? These processes are constantly evolving as email service providers play a cat and mouse game with people who want to send cold emails. However, there's some best practices about building out cold email infrastructure and what works right now. But the current 2 ways that you can build email infrastructure are by using a dedicated VPS. A VPS is essentially a virtual private server. It's a personal server that you can host yourself, or using the ESPs that already exist. So yeah, both are somewhat technical to set up, but the current best practices for sending cold emails at scale are to use established ESPs such as Google or Microsoft to set up your cold email infrastructure, because they manage the IP reputation for you. If you don't know what any of this means, basically just use Google or Microsoft because they handle all the technical stuff for you, at least on the back end email type stuff. If you're sending off your own server, then you're responsible for maintaining your own IP, and you're seen as less reputable because you're not using Gmail or Outlook. Another best practice for setting up your email infrastructure is to horizontally scale your email sending, meaning buying more domains and email accounts to send emails from, rather than individually scaling from the same inbox. So in this diagram, individually scaling would be like sending 160 emails per day from one email inbox, and this would land you in spam, versus horizontal scaling would be buying multiple email accounts and under multiple domains, so you can send multiple emails and get the same amount of volume just spread across more, and this will cause you to land in the inbox instead of the spam. The general rule of thumb is to make sure that you are sending less emails per inbox, because the less the better, and the less email accounts that you have per domain, like the per URL that you have, the better. You can safely send 30 to 50 emails per day per inbox, and you can have 3 inboxes per domain. However, I prefer to go on the safe side of both of those metrics. The exact numbers, once again, I will caveat this to make sure this is time correct. The exact numbers are constantly changing, but general rule of thumb, again, the less emails per account, the less emails sent per day, the better. To set this up, you need to buy multiple domains with similar names to your main email, set up the DNS records, the SPF, the DKIM, and the DMARC, build inboxes and users, set up a master inbox, tag it, connect it all to the sending tool to have them sent out. And I have other resources to cover this. So the next step that we're going to talk about is the sending tool. So after you set up all the actual infrastructure, you're going to need to connect it to a tool so you can actually send the 500 or so emails per day. 500 is an arbitrary number that I'm using here to say this is like the minimum you're probably going to need to send to be able to get 30 meetings per month. But to be able to manage all these sends, you're going to need to use a sending tool, because obviously you're not going to want to do this manually. So the sending tool will manage your email warmups, which will help increase your deliverability, make sure your emails land in the primary inbox, and also manage the sending of the emails. So there's a few tools that can help you with this: Smart Lead, Instantly, Omni, Lemlist, Mailshake, QuickMail, just to name a few of them. Personally, right now, I recommend using Smart Lead, but plenty of these tools have their own merits. A lot of these tools tend to be more expensive, these more legacy tools. QuickMail recently released a free plan, so there are tons of different options to go from. I personally recommend using tools that have warm up built in as part of their service and that don't charge you based on how many emails account you have connected. So these are tools like Smart Lead, Instantly, I'm pretty sure Omni as well. Then you can upload the lead list, the copy, the email accounts into these tools and set up campaigns to reach out to everyone automatically. So now we're on to step 5, crossing the finishing line, actually converting interested replies into sales calls. So after you're sending out all these emails, you should be getting replies at this point, and it's your job as a sales rep essentially to turn these interested replies that people get into meetings. So converting these interested replies into meetings is, in my opinion, one of the most overlooked part about running a cold email campaign. Many people pour all this time, effort, energy into the system, but then don't figure out how they should be responding to emails, doing it in an efficient way to turn an interested prospect into a meeting. Assuming everything is set up properly to this point and the campaign's live, you should be getting all kinds of replies like, what's the price? Tell me more information. I'm interested. I'm not interested. Can you reach out to me later next week? No thanks. And so you need to be diligent and respond to all these emails timely and effectively, because letting one of these emails slip through the cracks could be losing out on a potential deal, let alone a potential meeting. So you can connect your email inboxes to a CRM or build out a master inbox through the email sending tool that you're using to effectively tag and manage these accordingly. And depending on the volume you're sending, you should be dedicating anywhere between like 30 minutes and 2 hours to managing the inboxes that you have throughout the day to make sure that you're actually thoroughly answering and following up with everyone. This is one thing a lot of people overlook, is that they think, okay, I'm just going to send out all these emails, but just like any other like sales position, it's not just all these meetings getting booked on autopilot. You need to have someone who's following up and answering these thoroughly, because that's going to make or break whether or not they actually want to get on the call with you, because people do have questions. So to increase the speed to reply, you can have templates built out for each reply. Like, these are some really common responses you get, so you can build out templates for these. So for example, a templated reply about pricing could look like this: hey name, our pricing varies depending on the package, but here's our base plan. If this is within your budget, we should schedule a time to chat, and then suggesting a time. So you can use this as like a template, for example, for what a pricing question could look like. Ideally, these templates give you a good place to start, but most replies will have deeper nuance and won't be directly applicable with the template. So make sure you're still using your brain with this. I see a big mistake a lot of people make is they outsource it to someone who just has a bunch of templates, and then they're not actually taking the time to go through the nuance depending on the question that the people ask, because the template might not always answer everything. So many of the interested prospects that you reply to might not answer. You might get someone who asks for information, and after providing it, they might just ghost you. So these hot leads should be followed up with every 2 to 5 days to maximize the meetings you book, and you can arrange these follow-ups in your CRM or your master inbox, whatever tool you're using. But this is super crucial, because a lot of the meetings that you book are going to be a result of multiple follow-ups after they've already expressed interest, because once again, people get busy, their lives get cluttered, and so you have to come in and make sure that you are top of mind for them. All right, and so the last thing I want to cover in this video is emails equals cash, working your way backwards. So cold email is a volume game at the end of the day. The biggest mistake I see people make is they set everything up and then they don't push enough volume through the system. So going back to our diagram, we have the bridge built out, and then we need to be pushing volume across the bridge. So if you're looking to book 30 plus meetings per month, which is what you came to this video for, I'd recommend that you'd be sending a bare minimum of 500 emails per day, assuming everything is dialed in, and ideally more, because some parts are going to break and you're going to have to make up for different parts of the system. So I want to note that in in the formula that I showed before, we were using leads contacted, not email sent. So if you're sending optimally and using a 5 email sequence, for example, or a 3 email sequence or a 6 email sequence, that one email might not equal one new lead contact. So an email sequence with 5 steps and you're sending 500 emails per day, that might only equate to 100 net new contacts per day, which is why it's important that you are setting up enough emails, you did the math, and then in the future, you can use the data you have to tweak your system and predictably get as many meetings as you want. So once you set up the system and collect the data, you're going to be able to generate meetings on demand. You're going to figure out, for example, if you book one meeting for every 500 emails, then all you need to do is send 500 emails per day, and then you can achieve one meeting per day, which will get you to the 30 meetings per month mark. So email sent. So here's an example diagram. So email sent, if you send 100 emails and you get one positive reply, 5 positive replies convert into one booked meeting, 7 booked meetings equals one closed deal, then you can use this math to, number one, predictably realize, hey, if I send 500 emails per day, I'm going to get one meeting per day. And if you send 3,500 emails, you're going to likely get a closed deal, assuming that your sales closing rate is dialed and you can use those figures. So once all this is mapped out, you're going to be able to predictably get as many meetings as you need after all the data is collected, because all the math is going to be there right in front of you, and you can use this to scale your system as needed. So this is what the math looks like, assuming you have each step dialed in. But if you knew that you just needed to have 3,500 emails sent to get a closed deal, it would be pretty straightforward how you can scale your business. So that's all I have for you guys today. If you want to learn more and you actually want more in-depth stuff about how you can build out a cold email system for yourself, I have a link in the description to a cold email masterclass where I go more in depth about more intricacies, more technical stuff on how to set this up. Also, if you want to learn more, you can subscribe. I'm going to be building out a newsletter as well for all things lead gen. And if you don't want to deal with any of this, you're like, Matt, this looks great, we want to have it, but you don't want to set it up, then you can come over, check out our website over at anivomarketing.com. We help companies making over $30,000 a month fill your calendar with qualified sales meetings predictably, and you only pay on performance. Right now, we're doing it on a pay-per-show basis, meaning you're only paying for the meetings that show up to the call. If you're interested and you just want to chat, you can book a call using the link in the description. Otherwise, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, leave in the comment section, throw a like, and if you have anything else, feel free to let me know. Otherwise, hope you guys have a great day and go book some more meetings.